your daily effort feels heavy while progress stays out of reach. Every morning begins with energy, plans, and strong intention, yet the results at the end of the day feel far behind expectations. There is a quiet struggle inside many lives where effort is present but movement forward feels slow and unclear. Today's message brings clarity to that struggle. Inside this video, 7 powerful mistakes will be revealed that silently shape direction, limit growth, and keep people repeating the same cycle year after year. Each point opens a deeper layer of understanding about habits, choices, and mindset patterns that often go unseen in daily life. By the end of this journey, a clearer picture will form about what creates delay in progress and what shifts open the path toward growth, confidence, and personal transformation. There is a reason some individuals seem to rise while others remain in the same place for long periods. It often comes down to simple but powerful habits repeated every single day. Small decisions build direction. Repeated patterns shape identity. Many people search for new strategies, new opportunities, or new beginnings while overlooking the internal patterns that guide their actions. This video brings attention to those hidden patterns. Each of the 7 mistakes carries a strong impact, even though they often appear harmless at first. When combined, they quietly influence results in career, relationships, discipline, and personal development. As each mistake is explained, a deeper understanding will build about how time is used, how decisions are made, and how energy is directed. There are moments when effort feels strong, yet results remain limited, and this often connects back to these exact patterns. Some of these mistakes appear in daily routines. Others appear in thinking styles that shape decisions before action even begins. Together, they create invisible barriers that slow down progress. The purpose of this video is to bring those barriers into clear view. Once seen clearly, change becomes far easier to begin. Each section is designed to guide attention toward awareness, reflection, and practical understanding. By staying until the end, the full picture becomes clear, and each mistake connects into a larger understanding of personal growth and direction. A powerful shift begins when awareness replaces confusion. Many people search for motivation while the real key lies in recognition of patterns that repeat silently in life. This video brings those patterns forward in a simple and direct way so that understanding becomes easier and action becomes more focused. Welcome to our channel, where every video is created to bring clarity, discipline, and stronger thinking into daily life. If this message speaks to you and you want more content that helps build a better version of yourself, subscribe to the channel and stay connected. Each upcoming video will continue to break down powerful ideas that shape success, mindset, and personal growth. A common reason progress slows down in life is the absence of consistent discipline in daily actions. Many individuals begin new tasks with strong energy and clear intention. There is excitement in the beginning, a sense of direction, and a belief that change is finally starting. However, as time passes, that energy starts to fade. The early motivation that once felt powerful becomes weaker, and the effort slowly reduces. Tasks that were started with confidence remain incomplete, and new distractions begin to take their place. This cycle repeats itself in different areas of life, creating a pattern where many things are started but few are finished. There is often a strong emotional drive at the beginning of any goal. That emotional push creates momentum, but it does not last for long periods. When motivation becomes the only source of action, consistency becomes unstable. Some days feel productive, while other days feel empty. Work is done based on mood instead of structure, and this leads to uneven progress. Over time, this inconsistency creates a gap between intention and result. The gap grows larger when discipline is missing because actions are no longer guided by a system, but by temporary feelings. Daily discipline is what keeps direction steady even when motivation disappears. It is the ability to continue actions without waiting for the right mood or emotional state. People who rely on emotions often find themselves restarting again and again, while people who follow structure continue moving forward even when energy is low. This difference creates a long-term impact on growth. Small actions done consistently carry more power than large efforts done occasionally. Many situations in life show how this pattern works. Goals related to learning, fitness, career growth, or personal development all require repeated effort. When discipline is missing, progress becomes unpredictable. There are moments of strong effort followed by long pauses. These pauses break momentum and make it harder to build lasting improvement. Each restart feels like beginning from the start again, which creates frustration over time. The mind often looks for comfort and easy choices, which makes it simple to stop when effort becomes difficult. However, real progress depends on continuing even during slow or challenging phases. Discipline creates stability in action. It keeps movement alive even when interest fades. Over time, this steady approach shapes results more strongly than temporary motivation ever can. Another major reason progress slows down in life comes from an internal fear that quietly influences decisions before action even begins. Many individuals hesitate when facing something new because the outcome feels uncertain. There is a strong tendency to stay within familiar boundaries where everything feels safe and predictable. New opportunities often bring discomfort, and that discomfort is quickly interpreted as a warning to stay away. As a result, actions that could lead to growth are often delayed or completely avoided. This pattern becomes more visible when situations involve learning or skill development. A new task may appear challenging at first, and instead of approaching it step by step, the mind starts imagining possible errors. Attention shifts away from learning and moves toward avoiding mistakes. This creates hesitation, and hesitation turns into delay. Over time, repeated delay builds a habit of avoidance, where anything uncertain feels difficult to begin. Mistakes are a natural part of any learning process, yet they are often treated as signs of weakness or failure. When a mistake happens, instead of viewing it as feedback, it becomes a reason to step back. This reaction slowly reduces willingness to experiment or try again. The fear of getting something wrong becomes stronger than the desire to improve. In this state, growth becomes limited because experience is built through action, and action is reduced. Many successful paths are built through repeated attempts that include errors, corrections, and adjustments. Each attempt adds understanding, even when the result is not perfect. However, when fear dominates decision making, even the first attempt feels heavy. The mind creates pressure before action begins, and this pressure leads to inaction. Over time, opportunities pass by because action is delayed in favor of safety. There is also a deeper effect that develops over time. When new experiences are avoided, confidence does not grow. Familiar situations become the only comfort zone, and anything outside of it feels difficult. This limits personal development because progress requires exposure to new challenges. Every area of growth involves stepping into situations where results are not guaranteed. Avoiding those situations keeps life stable but also restricts movement forward. The connection between failure and growth is often misunderstood. Failure carries information, not limitation. Each attempt reveals what works and what needs adjustment. Without that process, improvement becomes slow. When fear decides actions, potential remains unused, and paths that could lead forward remain unexplored. A silent barrier that affects progress in many lives comes from the habit of thinking far beyond what is necessary before taking action. Instead of moving forward with simple steps, the mind begins to analyze every possible outcome in detail. Small decisions turn into long mental discussions where different scenarios are created and examined repeatedly. This process often begins with a simple idea, but it slowly expands into a complex chain of thoughts that makes even basic actions feel heavy. As thinking increases, clarity begins to reduce. The mind becomes filled with multiple possibilities, many of which are not connected to reality. Situations are imagined in advance, and outcomes are predicted without any real experience. This creates a sense of pressure that did not exist in the beginning. A task that could have been completed quickly turns into something that feels uncertain and difficult. Time passes while the mind continues to evaluate instead of act. This pattern often leads to delay in decision making. Action is postponed until everything feels perfect or completely understood. However, perfection is rarely found in real situations. Most progress in life comes through simple steps taken without complete certainty. When thinking becomes excessive, those steps are delayed again and again. The gap between planning and execution begins to grow, and that gap becomes harder to close over time. There is also a tendency to create problems that are not present in reality. A situation may appear simple at first, but repeated thinking adds unnecessary complexity. The mind starts to imagine obstacles, outcomes, and reactions that may never happen. This internal buildup creates hesitation. Even when opportunities are clear, action feels blocked by thoughts that were created internally rather than by actual circumstances. This cycle often continues without awareness. More thinking leads to more hesitation, and more hesitation leads to less experience. As experience reduces, confidence also becomes weaker, which leads to even more thinking before action. The loop continues in the same direction unless broken by direct movement. Progress depends on experience, and experience only comes when action happens before complete certainty is reached. A major factor that silently affects progress in life is the way time is handled on a daily basis. Many individuals begin their day with a sense of purpose, yet as hours pass, attention slowly shifts toward activities that provide instant distraction rather than meaningful progress. Small moments that seem harmless at first gradually turn into long periods of lost focus. Social media becomes a frequent escape, followed by endless scrolling, quick entertainment, and random habits that fill gaps in the day without adding real value. The problem does not always come from a lack of time, but from how that time is divided. Hours that could be used for learning, building skills, or completing important responsibilities often get absorbed by low priority actions. These actions feel easy in the moment, which makes them more attractive than tasks that require effort and focus. Over time, this creates a pattern where energy is spent, but results remain limited. The day feels busy, yet nothing meaningful seems to move forward. There is also a constant shift in attention that makes productivity unstable. A task may begin with focus, but interruptions quickly break concentration. Once focus is lost, it becomes difficult to return to the same level of effort. This repeated cycle reduces efficiency and extends simple tasks into longer periods than necessary. Slowly, important work gets delayed while smaller distractions take priority. Many people reach the end of the day with a sense of emptiness in terms of achievement. There is activity throughout the day, but very little that contributes to long-term goals. This gap between effort and outcome creates frustration, even when the day felt full. The issue is not always visible in the moment because distractions often feel harmless, yet their impact builds over time. Time continues to move at the same pace, regardless of how it is used. Each moment carries potential value, but that value depends entirely on direction and focus. When attention is scattered across multiple distractions, progress becomes slower and less consistent. On the other hand, when time is directed toward meaningful tasks, even small efforts begin to build noticeable change over time. A quiet pattern that often holds people back is the tendency to remain within familiar situations where everything feels easy and predictable. There is a strong pull toward routines that do not create stress or uncertainty, even when those routines do not lead to progress. In such situations, choices are often made based on what feels safe in the moment rather than what supports long-term improvement. This creates a cycle where life remains stable, but advancement becomes slow. When challenges appear, there is a natural resistance to stepping into them. The mind begins to look for easier alternatives, situations that require less effort and carry less risk. This preference for ease slowly shapes behavior over time. Tasks that involve learning something new, taking responsibility, or facing uncertainty are often postponed. Instead, attention shifts toward familiar actions that feel manageable and comfortable. Comfort creates a sense of temporary satisfaction, but it also limits exposure to new experiences. Without exposure to challenges, there is less opportunity to develop new skills or strengthen existing abilities. Progress requires interaction with situations that test current capacity. However, when those situations are avoided, growth becomes limited to what is already known. The boundaries of personal development begin to stay the same for long periods. There is also a psychological effect that builds gradually. The longer someone remains within familiar limits, the more difficult it feels to step beyond them. Even small changes start to feel larger than they actually are. This leads to hesitation when opportunities appear that require adjustment or effort. Over time, hesitation becomes a default response, making it harder to move into new environments or responsibilities. Life begins to feel predictable but also repetitive. Days may pass smoothly, yet there is little sense of expansion or progress. The absence of challenge reduces the chance for discovery, improvement, and learning through experience. Each time comfort is chosen over effort, the range of potential growth becomes narrower. New paths remain unexplored and existing abilities remain unchanged. Growth is connected to situations that demand adaptation and effort. These situations often feel uncomfortable at first because they require movement beyond what is already familiar. However, that discomfort is where new skills begin to form and confidence begins to develop. When familiar spaces are left behind, even temporarily, new levels of capability start to appear through experience and repetition. A powerful influence on personal direction often comes from the surroundings a person stays in every day. The mindset that develops over time is not only shaped by individual thoughts, but also by repeated exposure to the attitudes, language, and behavior of people in close proximity. Conversations, reactions, and shared opinions slowly become part of internal thinking patterns, even without conscious awareness. When the environment is filled with negative expressions, limited thinking, or constant complaints, it begins to affect perception. Ideas that once felt possible start to appear unrealistic. Confidence becomes weaker when doubt is repeatedly heard from others. Over time, this repeated exposure creates a mental space where limitations feel more natural than possibilities. The way others speak about life, success, and effort gradually influences how situations are interpreted. Daily interaction plays a strong role in shaping perspective. Even simple conversations can leave lasting impressions when they occur regularly. When discouraging language becomes common in the surrounding environment, it starts to settle into thinking patterns. This can lead to hesitation in decision making and a reduced sense of belief in personal ability. Without realizing it, external opinions begin to feel like internal truth. There is also a subtle shift that happens in behavior. Energy levels and motivation often align with the general atmosphere of the people nearby. If the environment lacks ambition or forward movement, it becomes easier to adopt the same pace. Effort may feel unnecessary when those around are not focused on growth. Gradually, this creates a cycle where progress slows because the surrounding influence does not encourage expansion or improvement. The environment also affects the way challenges are viewed. In a supportive atmosphere, challenges are often seen as part of development. In a negative atmosphere, the same challenges may appear overwhelming or pointless. This difference in perception changes how action is taken. Small decisions begin to reflect the mindset absorbed from the surroundings rather than personal intention. Over time, repeated exposure to the same environment shapes expectations about life. The direction of thinking becomes influenced by what is commonly seen and heard. Without positive input or growth oriented influence, it becomes harder to maintain a forward moving mindset. The surrounding energy slowly becomes a reflection in personal thoughts, decisions, and long term outlook. A common reason many individuals feel stuck in life comes from moving through days without a clear sense of direction. There is activity, effort, and constant movement, yet the purpose behind these actions often remains unclear. Tasks are completed, schedules are followed, and time is spent on different responsibilities, but there is no strong vision guiding these actions toward a specific outcome. This creates a situation where life feels full of motion, but progress feels as uncertain. Without defined goals, decisions are often made based on immediate needs or random choices rather than long-term purpose. Each day brings new distractions and shifting priorities, and attention moves from one task to another without a central focus. This leads to a pattern where energy is used throughout the day, but results do not align with any clear direction. Effort exists, but it is spread across multiple areas without structure, making progress difficult to measure. There is also a sense of confusion that develops when there is no clear target. The mind tries to find something meaningful to focus on, but without a defined goal, it keeps shifting between possibilities. This creates a cycle where time passes, but there is no strong feeling of achievement. Even when tasks are completed, there is often a sense that something important is still missing because those tasks are not connected to a larger vision. When direction is unclear, motivation becomes unstable. Some days feel productive, while other days feel scattered and unorganized. Without a clear destination, it becomes easy to follow whatever feels urgent in the moment. This urgency replaces purpose, and attention becomes reactive instead of intentional. Over time, this pattern can create the feeling of moving in circles, where effort is repeated, but progress does not feel linear. A clear goal creates structure in thinking and action. It gives meaning to daily effort and helps prioritize what truly matters. With direction in place, decisions become easier because there is a reference point guiding each step. Time begins to feel more organized, and actions start to connect with a larger purpose. Without this structure, even strong effort can lose impact because it lacks alignment with a defined outcome. These mistakes may appear small at first, almost unimportant in daily life, but over time they begin to shape direction, decisions, and results in ways that are not always visible immediately. Each one slowly builds into habits that influence how time is used, how challenges are handled, and how progress is either created or delayed. When combined together, they form patterns that can quietly control the path of life without clear awareness. The positive side of this understanding is that every one of these patterns can be changed. Nothing is fixed permanently. Small adjustments in daily behavior can gradually break these cycles and replace them with better ones. Step-by-step improvement becomes possible when awareness turns into action. As these changes begin, life starts to feel more structured, more focused, and more aligned with real goals. Progress becomes more consistent, and direction becomes clearer with time. Real transformation begins at the moment responsibility is accepted for current habits and decisions. Change does not come from waiting for the right time or perfect situation. It begins when attention is placed on what is being done daily and how those actions are shaping results. When habits shift, outcomes begin to shift as well. When discipline replaces inconsistency and clarity replaces confusion, life naturally starts moving in a better direction. Every small action contributes to the bigger picture, and over time, those actions define the outcome of personal growth. If this video helped you understand your own patterns and gave you a clearer view of what has been holding you back, take a moment to support the channel. Like this video so it can reach more people who need this message. Subscribe to the channel for more powerful and practical content designed to improve mindset, habits, and personal growth. Stay connected because every new video is created to help you move forward with more clarity and strength in your daily life.